Welcome to Healthy Planet, the show for people who care about their health and the health of our planet on the ThinkTech live streaming network series. I'm your host, Dr. Grace O'Neil. Joining me today is Helena Lundblad, Executive Director of the Magical Creatures Sanctuary on the Big Island. Welcome, Helena. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, Grace. I'm excited to be on the show.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I'm so excited I got you on my show. So tell us about how you started the sanctuary.
Yeah, that wasn't planned at all. We had moved to the Big Island, me and my husband, a couple of years before, and we ended up on this beautiful property on the Hamakua coast with 13 acres that we didn't really know what to do with. Neither one of us wanted to have any kind of meat production animals. We didn't want to lease it to farmers or anything like that. So we started looking into maybe fostering some animals and maybe rescuing some animals. And that's when someone reached out about a little baby goat that they had found in the wild and asked if I would take her in. And I did. I knew nothing about goats, but that was the beginning of the sanctuary. It was one little rescued baby goat, and after that, it was downhill.
Can you show us the picture of the baby goat? The first, so was this the baby goat you're talking about? I'm assuming
that's the baby goat. That's Janice. So Janice kind of became my my bridge per se from pet animals to farmed animals, and how there is really no difference. That kind of also finalized my vegan journey. I had previous to this started cutting out any type of meat and dairy from my diet. But when Janice came into my life and she was living in the house with us, along with our dog and our cats, and I didn't see anything wrong with that. And people around us started having questions like, why do you have farmed animals in the house? That's strange. So that's kind of when I started to really put the pieces together in my head. Like, there is actually no difference at all between Janice and Phoebe the dog or Chandler the cat. You know, they're all the same. So yeah, that was.
So how did you how did your vegan journey begin? Because you said that first you had started, getting some of the things out of your diet, but you weren't completely vegan. So what was it that kind of started your journey?
So that started probably around 15 years ago. I was really mindful about my health. I was working out a lot, and I started cutting out red meat from my diet because it made me feel better. So for a long time, I was pescatarian, and I was also always very drawn to animals. I was worried about where the products came from that I was consuming. So I was trying to find the most right animal products while I was still eating products. And as you learn more and more about each individual product, you kind of realize that there is no way of doing it in a good way. So one little small step at a time, I just started cutting out things, and all of a sudden there was really nothing left. So that's kind of how but it progressed slowly over several years, over probably 6 years in total.
So I was wondering also how you guys got on the Big Island. Was there a job that drew you there, and why 13 acres? Because that's kind of like a huge commitment, you know?
Yes. I don't like neighbors. No, it's we were in San Diego before we moved here, and my husband Matthias, he was hired with Hawaiian Airlines. So for the first few years, he was commuting out to Honolulu for work. So we started spending more and more time in Hawaii, and eventually we decided to relocate. But we were never interested in being on Oahu. That was a little bit too crowded for us and too expensive. And we looked at the other islands, and we were both drawn to this area, like the drive between Hilo and Waimea. This coastline here is just magical. So that's kind of why we started looking here. And it is a commitment. It was a lot of money. It was definitely a stretch for us when we first moved here. But this place just drew us in, basically. I immediately kind of felt at home here. It's a magical place.
Did you grow up with on a farm or anything, or just with animals or anything?
No. Well, I had horses in my life. I always spent time around horses. I grew up on a tiny little island in the northern part of Sweden, actually. So I spent a lot of my years on islands, growing up, and also my adult life. So there's something about being on an island that makes me feel kind of at peace at home. So that's the only connection, I guess. But yeah, no
Yeah,
farms
that's
around us. We were out in nature, far away from everything, and that's probably why I always was drawn to nature and wanted to have like the air, the space.
So
Yeah.
you showed us the first goat that she had, Michael. Can you go through, I mean, I guess if you could talk about, Helena, how you acquired the other animals and how you started becoming a sanctuary from there.
Mm-hmm. So it started, like I said, with Janice and her injured legs. So she ended up living inside the house with us for 6 months, and that's her when she's an adult. She's 6 years old now, so she's wearing professionally made prosthetic legs. When Janice was a little bit older, I started looking into finding friends for her because she was going to move outside eventually. So someone had hunted goats on the Big Island and ended up with baby goats without the mom. So that's how I came across the next two goats that moved in. I was also helping Humane Society with fostering animals. So I had some horses that we were fostering, and then I had some piglets that needed fostering. And all of a sudden, it kind of started looking like a sanctuary around here when I looked out, but I didn't know what a sanctuary was. So that kind of became it landed in my lap, and then I had to kind of figure out what am I doing here, and that's how I started reading up on it, and I started reaching out to people that knew more, and they said, well, you already have a sanctuary, you might as well just incorporate as a nonprofit and call yourself a sanctuary, and that's it. You don't need anyone's approval. You just go ahead and do it. So yeah, that's how it happened. So Janice moved in 2016, and in January 2018 is when we got our IRS approved the nonprofit.
So tell me, with those prosthetic legs, how did you have them made? Did you make that yourself? Did you find a vet that did that?
The very first ones I made myself. I just kind of had to figure it out when she was younger. And then when she was a little bit older and became a little bit heavier, I found someone who makes prosthetic devices for dogs primarily, but he also worked with other types of animals. So I reached out to him, and he said he could help me out. And I basically made casts of her legs and sent them to him, and he made molds out of her legs and then created the prosthetics. So that's how they're made. So they're fully supporting her, and she gets around just fine with them. We take them off every night, so she sleeps inside a little barn, and she comes out with her boots in the morning.
So you said that she was in a fire when she was, how did that happen? Do you know?
So there's a lot of wild goats on the Big Island, and this little one had something must have happened to her mother. She was separated from her mom, so she sought out people that were camping. And these people that were camping had a camping fire going. And sometime overnight, and this is what we kind of figured out after the fact, they didn't see this happen. And I didn't know that she was injured when I took her in. But I noticed that she was struggling walking. She could see that she was painful walking. And then just the day after, we can kind of see how her hoof started peeling off. And that's when I started looking into I actually came across an article about sheep being trapped in a bushfire, and their injuries, the pictures of their injuries looked exactly the same. So that's kind of how I figured out there must be heat that had caused it. So yeah, two of her hoofs ended up falling off altogether. So they're missing.
That's so painful. I can't.
Yeah, it was a tough couple of months when she was she basically lived on my arm. I carried her everywhere, and she was just hanging out with me. Always good spirits though. So we managed her pain, of course. The vet saw her, and we just kept it clean and from getting infected, and padded so she wouldn't put too much pressure on them. And yeah, they're amazing, so resilient.
Yeah, no, goats are amazing animals.
Yeah, they are.
I've done the goat yoga before, and I remember when we left the premises after the goat yoga, the goats were kind of like making this noise, and then the person said that they were crying because we were leaving. I was like, oh my gosh. So sad.
They are so social.
Yeah.
They're
It's
definitely
really
so
touching.
social.
But
Mhm.
tell me about the other animals that you have, like how you acquired the pigs. And I know
Mm.
with the cows, there was a dairy farm. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so like I said, we incorporated 2018, and just a few months later, 2018, the volcano erupted out here. So we ended up with 20, I think it was 21 animals that were being evacuated from the lava evacuation area. We were working closely with a Facebook group called Hellfarn. I can spell that out. That they basically all organized the volunteer effort when it came to animal rescue in the lava evacuation areas. A lot of people would just evacuate with their family members and their dogs and their cats, but they would leave any
Deadly
farmed
animals.
animals. Yeah.
Jeez.
So it was a lot like that. A lot of fences that got cut open and animals that were rescued last minute, and that's when the sanctuary kind of doubled in size overnight.
Wow.
Yeah, and then after, as soon as people know that you're around, the animals will come. It's not like we had to look for them. People would reach out and say, "I found this animal. Someone has this one." Neighbors have been mistreating this one, and yeah, and all of a sudden,
Yeah,
now we
wow.
have 90.
Oh my gosh, 90 animals?
Yes.
Wow. I guess you do have 13 acres, so I mean, that's so wonderful that you have that land. So,
Actually, a little bit over a year ago, we acquired an extra 22 acres, but 35 acres now.
oh
So
wow,
adjacent
that's
to our
wonderful.
original 13, we have another 22. So that's where the cows are grazing right now.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah.
So tell me the story about the dairy farm on the Big Island
Mhm.
and what happened with that.
Yeah, so they were forced to close, and I believe that they had around 4,000 cows at the time when they were closing doors. So they started getting rid of the animals, and there was part of the same group of people that were helping during the lava evacuations. They started the cow rescue group, so they started negotiating with the farmer to get as many cows out as possible. So I helped transport and get some of them out, and agreed to take 5 of them here. So we had 5 bottle babies, 2-month-old calves that are now grown, beautiful Holstein cows that came here during that time. I believe that they ended up taking over 400 of the cows out and adopted
Oh wow.
into pet homes, so companion
Wow. So
animal
those
homes.
cows are all around the Big Island. That's wonderful.
Yes, you see
That's
Holstein cows everywhere just grazing and
wow.
living life. Yeah, that was an absolutely amazing effort, and I'm so proud that they managed to pull that through. So 5 of them
Yeah,
are
that's
are
wonderful.
here.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
that's
So how,
10% of the total. So.
oh,
Mhm.
that's only 10%. So what happened to the other cows?
So lots of them were slaughtered. Lots of them were sold to dairies on the mainland. Um, yeah, that they basically just, and they sold them to other dairy farmers on the island too. We don't have a lot of dairy farmers anymore, but some of them went into different dairies on the Big Island. But there, many of them were slaughtered.
That's too bad. So
Yeah,
what was it? I cannot remember what was wrong with the dairy farm. I think they were polluting the water though, from what I remember.
they were. Yeah, so I don't. You probably know about our heavy rains that we can get here on the west side of the island.
Yeah.
Every time it rained like that, their pools, their manure pools would overflow and spill into
Oh
the gulch.
gosh.
So the village downstream from them, of course, got all the cow manure
Oh man.
polluting. Yeah, so that was not very well thought through to have an
No,
operation like that. And even if it's Big Island and a lot of green areas, they have big barns where the cows are living inside, and they're scraping out the manure to go into pools. So even in areas like
no.
this, they have to keep them inside for the dairy operations to function. So yeah, that didn't work out.
Hmm. How long was that farm around? Was it for quite a while before they discovered that, or was it short-lived?
I actually can't say exactly how many years they were around. I don't think they were very old, but
Mhm.
I can't say.
Sure,
Can't
sure.
remember.
So also interested in your volunteer program, and I know
Mhm.
there's kind of like a work stay program at the sanctuary. Can you talk about that?
Yes, for sure. It started out with, we're very remote. We're like 40 minutes from Hilo, and we don't have a lot of people living in this area. So it was hard for me to find local volunteers that could come out and help with the daily work with animals. So pretty early on, we started offering a live-in volunteer situation. So we would advertise on Workaway and find a live-in volunteer that would come stay with us in our little Ohana unit and help with the daily care. And then we added one extra person. We had two people staying in there, and then we tried to cram in a third person. And then I built a yurt. So we have a
Oh,
30 feet
nice.
yurt now that houses five of our, and we turned it into an internship program. So we have 5 interns staying there. My director of operations is staying out there in Dohana, and we have 2 extra staff members. And I'm right now building out new tiny houses for more staff members. So we're hiring for work trade staff members right now as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge amount of land to take care of. I'm sure there's
Yes.
mowing of well, I guess the cows and the grazing areas take care of the mowing, but there's still a bit of upkeep, right?
Oh, there's so much upkeep, and the mowing is actually a huge thing because the cows are not rotated through the other pastures. The cows are in the cow pastures, and they do maintain those acres down there, but all the other pastures we have to mow down. This skinny grass is just, it takes over, and the pig pastures, yeah, the pigs won't graze like that, so we have to cut the grass in there. A lot of grass maintenance, a lot of fencing maintenance, shelters and stuff like that. So facilities manager is one of the positions that we're hiring for right now.
So what other positions are there currently for people? And how long are these work stay positions?
So for our internship program for animal care, they commit to 3 months when they come here. For our manager positions, we ask for a 6-month commitment. And for our directors that we're also advertising about right now, we ask for a year commitment. So we're hoping to make the organization more sustainable with more directors and managers, like real staff members on site, and hopefully also expand on our educational program and our outreach program. So we are looking for director of advancement when it comes to helping us bring the grant money in, or any kind of spreading the word and making sure that we are a sustainable organization moving forward. We're also looking for marketing manager, marketing communications, social media, all kinds. Eventually, we will want to hire a veterinarian when we're in a. Yeah. That's part of our 3-year plan, is to be able to have a veterinarian on staff too.
So what are you doing now for your veterinarian? Do you have to, are there people on the Big Island who can help?
Yes and no. So we have a good relationship with the vet clinic up in Waimea, which is about 45 minutes away from here. They're not very knowledgeable when it comes to farmed animals, but they're our best option, and they're really open to. They're really great working with someone like me, because they normally don't have people show up with a goat with prosthetic legs or a goat in a wheelchair, and do everything we can to keep them comfortable. And then they've never seen anything like that. So I have to kudos to them. They give me, they keep a very open mind, and they're very helpful. We don't have access to any advanced diagnostics, for example. We don't have things that I see. We don't have they don't have overnight staff, for example. If we have a very sick animal, we can't hospitalize them anywhere, which is why I really want to have that set up here instead, so that we can do that care on site instead. It is a bit tricky to transport sick animals, like large animals like that.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. You must have to have some kind of huge trailer, you know?
We have a trailer. Our truck is broken, but we're trying to figure that out.
Yeah, that's it's a lot of complications. So, I mean, I guess the thing is, could you maybe offer like a vet internship to somebody? I don't know if, I guess you would need to have somebody supervising them. So.
Yeah, we are definitely, when we are looking for our interns, we have a lot of pre-vet students that come here. We look for people with vet tech experience, So that is super helpful. And I have had to learn a bunch myself too, just because, and that's not something that comes natural to me. I'm from Sweden and we're very comfortable handing over the responsibilities to the professionals. We would never try to do anything that a professional would do. But in Hawaii, you kind of have to. So I've
Especially
done
on the big island. Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So a lot of reading and learning, and when it comes down to it, I'm their best option. So the animals, when we have no other option, I'm going to be their best option. So that's what we're to integrate in our internship program too. So when people come here with their experience, they can teach me, and we can teach each other, and we can do the best we can for our residents.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
How about local volunteers? Do you have a lot of local volunteers, or how is that going?
Not a lot, but we have a few very committed ones. So we're super proud of them, and they do the drive. Like most of them drive for an hour to come up here and volunteer
Yeah.
once per week. So that's like I said, we're remote. It's a bit tricky right now. Our driveway is flooded because of the heavy rains we've had,
Oh,
so that
geez. Yeah.
makes it a little bit hard. We offer project days every Saturday. We have volunteers come out and help with projects. And that's popular because you don't have to commit to a weekly commitment. You can come up once per
Mhm.
month or whenever it fits your schedule. We
Yeah.
also have started something that we call Cuddle Crew, where people can come up with their younger children that may not be
Oh.
perfect for working in the pasture, but they may be perfect for hanging out with our special needs animals or taking
Mhm.
our special needs cat for a walk or doing things
Uh-huh.
like that. So to try to engage the community and offer opportunities for people in our community to come out here and experience a sanctuary and what
Mhm.
that's all about.
So
Mm-hmm.
what kind of upcoming big projects do you have?
We have some focused. We need to do some really focused fundraising for a large project coming up. We desperately need a barn. We need to build a barn so we can have our special needs animals sleep inside. So we can have feed storage and a medical treatment room. So that's huge and something I've been dreaming about for years. But it's really tricky. There are so many steps and so many things to jump through to get there. But that's still very much on the top priority when it comes to big projects. Another thing is a reliable vehicle. Like I said, we have a beautiful trailer, but nothing to pull it with. So
Oh no. Yeah.
we have a
Yeah.
donated old Chevy Silverado, and it's from '99, and it's costing us a leg and an arm to try to keep it running. Right now, it's not running, so
Oh
that's
geez.
another big one that we will need.
Yeah.
And tiny houses for staffing, but that's something I'm
Hmm.
building myself mainly. And
Really? I mean, I
yeah,
read about those tiny houses. Are you building them from one of those Matson, those like those
the
little boxes
containers.
that they ship? Yeah, the little storage containers, or how are you building these tiny houses?
So I work in construction, so that's my paying job when I'm not
Oh,
at the
okay.
sanctuary, and I'm able to salvage some material from my job. But I actually
Oh,
opted this time. I'm gonna try to build a tiny house out of SIP panels. It's called. It's
what is,
basically SIP panels.
oh,
It's like insulated metal panels that you click together, and
mhm.
you can create them in whichever size and shape that you
Nice,
like.
nice.
So I'm building out the foundation as I would with any kind of building, and then just put the panels up on top, and then we'll build it out inside. So if I like that, if it's manageable, if it's a good way of building, then I'll continue to build them like that. Otherwise, we just
Ah,
have to move over to a traditional wood
uh-huh.
cabin. But
And
yeah.
how about the plumbing? Who does the plumbing? Do you know how to do plumbing too? Or
I don't know how to do plumbing. We will probably come up with a more off-grid kind of type of living. We're completely off-grid here, so with
oh, so like a
composting toilet
compost
and
toilet? Oh,
mhm,
nice, nice.
compost toilet, outdoor
So,
shower, and just
wow.
have gray water instead of a proper
Hmm.
plumbing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that what you have at your house now too? The
We actually have a cesspool, so we have plumbing in our main house, but the whole property is off grid. We're on rainwater catchment and solar system,
wow.
and yeah.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, I guess if another project would be maybe to get a volunteer who knows how to do that stuff, you know?
That's definitely high up on the list. Anyone who can do anything that comes to do with off-grid living or
Yeah.
is able to learn, because that's basically what it's all about. No one can know everything, but if we can find the people that will find the knowledge for us, that's what we need. Like the problem
And
solvers.
yeah, I mean, do you guys grow plants for the goats and the pigs, or what are you doing for food for them?
Yeah, we would love to grow more food. We haven't had the bandwidth to do it. That's also something that we would hope to expand on. We have some fruit trees that were donated to us about a year ago. So that's the first step to manage our fruit trees, and hopefully in a few years they will start producing. But we would love to have like real vegetable gardens and grow more food
Yeah,
for the
right.
animals too. Yeah.
Another volunteer opportunity, I think.
So many, yes. Anyone who has any kind of experience they want to share with us, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would be a great, I know you do some outreach with children and everything, like
Mm-hmm.
you're saying, the cuddle days. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if there's any, I'm sure there's schools that might come visit, but maybe like there could be like a gardening, group at the high school or something. And, you have all this land because that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like a nice thing because you have this land to offer and, you could just kind of let them try to grow what they could, I mean, it'd be kind of cool, for the
Yeah,
animals.
absolutely. That would be great. But like I said, we've been pretty short-handed, so our staff
Yeah.
has been small when it comes to managing different programs like that. You kind of need people to manage the people.
Yes, yes.
So that's where we started. We're starting now because it's been kind of the other way around. I've had people come on that want to do specific projects, but it always bounces back to me because I've always been the only one kind of holding everything in order. So I need to broaden the leadership team to have the directors and the managers helping me with managing all these groups, because I know that there are people that want to do things like that. We could reach out to, like you said, school classes, or even people that homeschool their children can have that as part of
Oh,
their
yeah.
educational program. So there are so many brilliant ideas. We just need to kind of boil it all together and kind of have a
And
proper
more
plan
steady
for it
staff.
all.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, that sounds great. So we're out of time, so we have to wrap it up. I'm Dr. Grace O'Neil. This is Healthy Planet on the ThinkTech live streaming network series. We've been talking with Helena Lundblad of the Magical Creatures Sanctuary. Thanks to Michael, our broadcast engineer, and the rest of the crew at ThinkTech for hosting our show. And thanks to you, our listeners, for listening. I'll see you in 2 weeks for more of Healthy Planet on ThinkTech, the show for people who care about their health and the health of our planet. My special guest will be Dr. Ramona Wong, and we will be talking about kidney health. If you have ideas for the show or questions for my future show guests, please contact me at healthyplanetthinktech@gmail.com. Check out my website at graceinhawaii.com or Instagram at graceful living365 for more information on my projects, including future show guests. I'm Dr. Grace O'Neil. Aloha, everyone.
Thank you so much for watching ThinkTech Hawaii. If you like what we do, please like us and click the subscribe button on YouTube and the follow button on Vimeo. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and donate to us at thinktechhawaii.com. Mahalo.